Hi Tom, hi Eddie. Good morning.
Hello.
Hey Fix, thanks for joining. Let me start screen share. Think yeah, I'm not sure whether we'll get more AC members. Fonko sent his apologies, and I think Greg's still on sick leave.
Hey guys, I just woke up to a message from Magnus.
Yep. Yeah, I've been chatting to him about the Azure secret rotation.
So, what exactly happened?
I mean, I covered it last week, talked about it.
Okay, maybe there's a misunderstanding. Magnus is saying that the repo was compromised.
Yeah, yeah, that's why I had a big long discussion about it last week. Like all of this stuff around the workflow hardening.
Was that the launchpad issue? Because I haven't been able to get access to that one.
Yeah, yeah, that's the launchpad issue. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
I mean, I can recover it, but for you were
Yeah.
here last week. So basically, because of some issues, including, well, mainly stemming from the pull request target that we use, there were two instances where people and two instances that we know of and they reported. So hopefully irresponsible, but potentially there could be other instances we don't know about. We have scanned the PRs and haven't found any evidence of that, but where they were able to use an exploit and the fact that our workflows are too open in order to retrieve our secrets. So that's why last week I did a whole bunch of preliminary actions and then said we need to rotate the secrets, which is on the discussion for this week.
Or was this an actual attacker or was it a POC? Because I guess I
So,
asked the Slack thread, but no one replied, so I thought it was just a proof of concept.
so yeah, I don't know how you classify it. It was people that proved that they could get it. So as far as we're aware, they haven't done anything with the secrets, but
Mhm.
the fact that they could and it proved it was open means we need to rotate.
Yeah.
So So yeah, maybe I didn't communicate well with Magnus because the background, the reason Magnus is involved is I started doing the same activities in the Cloud API adapter repo, and Magnus was like, "Oh, what's the background?" And we had discussed workflow hardening before with Magnus, And
Hmm.
I said, oh yeah, I made these changes on Kata because we had the vulnerability disclosure that two independent individuals had been able to use the exploit to get secrets. So yeah, Magnus this morning asked about what the plan, or actually last night, he asked what the plan for rotating the Azure secrets was, and I said I had a item on the agenda for the AC today, and I
Hmm.
was assuming that you would pick it up and drive it forward. And this morning he went, "Oh, I don't want to wait till the AC meeting. Can we rotate it now?" So here I
Hmm.
was working with him and Jeremy this morning just to rotate the AZ password secret.
Okay, so this is the same as last week because I, for a moment, I thought there were two different issues, or two different attacks, right?
There were two. There were
No, I
two
mean,
attempts,
I
but they
thought there
were
was a new one
last.
yesterday. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, so apologies if I wasn't very clear with Magnus. But yeah, he seemed to want to update the password with reasonable urgency, so
Mm.
I worked with him this morning to get that done.
Yeah, that sounds good. Could I get access to that launchpad issue? Do you think that's possible? Because I still don't fully understand.
I can try after the call.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. Let me Yeah, if you just send me a Slack after the call, I'll see if I can get that working.
Yeah, sounds good. I'm happy to go through these secrets too if you wanna.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, we'll talk about that later in the meeting. So yeah, we'll just review the actions from previous meeting. So I guess we kind of had a couple of Aurelian reviewed Routing's Tableau PR, so thanks for that. And I think the 185 is still work in progress. The one of the prereq issues got merged this morning. We had a little bit of a challenge. The SMP firmware meant it was down for about 36 hours, but it's back up and running. So we was able to get that in. The other action I had, we had a discussion about whether we wanted to keep the Docker Hub mirror. I had the action to create a Slack post and ask if anyone still wanted to use it. Um, Nobody responded, so created the PR. I'm just running the topic branch test against it, which is why it's in draft, but to switch our mirroring from Docker Hub to GHCR based on that. Yeah, I wasn't sure, Eldika, how you wanted to do the laundry list. I kind of moved it at the top because I didn't know if it was something we wanted to discuss at the start of each call
Um,
or.
I think this should be something that we look at every call.
Mhm.
I know more about my items, and I didn't get the chance to properly catch Zvonko this week before he went on sick leave. So hopefully next week I'll be able to. So I updated the issue about the Rust pro con list to say pro list and action plan. Um,
Mhm.
so the question mark that I have is last week on this call, it sounded like that there are at least a handful of people for whom what basically needs to happen is the AC having a formal decision to say that we are executing on moving to Rust and then have the action plan of what that entails to make it happen to be able to prioritize that work. So it feels like that we are currently in a chicken and egg situation right now that
Mhm.
until things are not done for Rust, there will be no decision to move over to Rust until there's no decision to move over to Rust, then people will not get the priority to work on those things that need to be finished. And so I wanted to check with the AC members on the call, and I'll reach out outside of the call too. Like, what do you all need to be able to formally say that this is the direction that the project is taking. We are moving to Rust. This is the desired timeline. And what level of action plan do you want to have to be able to say that this is what we are stamping and this is what the plan is? So that people can prioritize the Rust work and the reviews get some more attention that are already existing and ongoing.
So, and maybe the answer is you already said it is a bit of chicken and egg, but we talked last week about trying to understand where some of the company's position was. Like I think Horace mentioned he was going to talk to Ant and Ali and um, ask, understand what their position was. Yeah, I don't know if we managed to get a position other than Powell's opinion
Is
on
is that is
where
that what
that.
the AC needs?
Not
Like,
necessarily, but I don't see that if none of the downstreams are going to adopt it, then we can do what we like and we can say, oh, we're going to rewrite everything in Java or rewrite everything in
well,
COBOL.
I
And
mean, I mean, if we rewrite everything in Cobalt and that's the only thing that exists, then they will take it.
but
Like,
they won't because we've got the Go runtime, so people would just fork it and keep running on that. That's the challenge we have.
that's a lot of effort, though, to be honest. So,
Mm.
I mean, yeah, let's not rewrite it in Cobalt. The um probability of the Go runtime getting forked is probably higher in that case. But in terms of I did had a chat with Fupan lately, and my understanding is that they're still working towards the goal of moving to Rust. So
Mhm.
the preference there is to move to Rust. But Fupan, please correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, you're right.
So the desire there exists. From Pavel, my understanding was that if the AC says that this is what we are doing, then he is in a much better position to prioritize the Rust work that he's been doing.
Mhm.
Yes.
And actually, today, Alex and I will update the randomize in the Coco meeting today.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. Mhm.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's a good point to talk about. I think there's a topic about Coco's usage of the Rust shim. So they are obviously a very important
Mhm. Yeah.
usage. So maybe if we might get better understanding
Mhm.
after that. I think it was Sonko prompted that to happen. So
Okay. It was just last week it sounded like that there is a consensus to move to Rust. And I think delaying it further out will cause further confusion with downstream. Like Rust, in my understanding, the moving to Rust effort has been going on for what, a year and a half, 2 years, even more.
yeah, probably 4.
So if it's been going on for so long, then at one point the downstreams will be like, we are just staying on Go because Rust doesn't seem to go anywhere. So it's
Mhm.
not even their desire whether or not they would adopt it at this point. It's unless we make it happen, they will never have the strong desire just because, if it hasn't happened for 4 years, what's the guarantee that it's gonna happen in the next 1 year? So that's why I'm kind of trying to move towards what the community does have control over, which is our own set of priorities and what's best for the community. And then
Yeah, exactly. That's my impression exactly. I think we the way forward is to decide internally, like among us, the contributors, and go with that, and execute on that. And I appreciate, Ildiko, how you actually drive the issue. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for confirming where my head is at, because I think it's important to keep in mind that when you all are in the community, you do have a community hat. So it's not only the company hat that you're representing, but you do have a community hat. So especially the architecture committee, the group's responsibility is to figure out what's best for the community and move forward into that direction. And I'm here to help with that. And I understand that, especially the Rust runtime is, it's a big move and it feels very risky because it's a whole other implementation of the runtime. And what if, companies are not moving over to it? But I think that if the community has good reasons to move to that runtime, then we can work with downstreams in terms of giving enough heads up that this is the time frame when it's going to happen, and it's not going to happen tomorrow because there's still enough work left. When it comes to Cocoa, um, I'm not sure if they would want to really take on maintaining the Go version of the runtime, so figuring out what they want out of the Rust one, so that the Cocoa integration works, and then have them understand that this is just better for the Kata community overall to move to Rust. So creating a conversation is something that we can make happen, but we do need a clear decision, and we do have the control over that.
So do you think that the decision wasn't clear 3, 4 years ago?
I wasn't here, so I don't know, but obviously something wasn't clear because the Rust runtime is still not implemented and people are working on the Go runtime. So
But
I wasn't
I,
here, but like
I
I
would
only
just
see what we have today. Sorry, go ahead.
I would dispute that people are working on the Go runtime. There's not that much work that goes in.
Hmm.
And the decision that I heard several years ago was we will close the gaps between Go and Rust. When the gaps are closed, we will switch over to use Rust, which I think
Hmm.
is still our position. The challenge is we don't have the manpower to close the gaps particularly fast, or we haven't been able to. And we could reiterate a decision that Rust is the strategic direction, and that may help, but I don't know if it still gives us more people who are willing to contribute. So yeah.
So I'd
So
say we should at least do what was in place several years ago, which is stop accepting contributions to the Go runtime unless they are also made to the Rust runtime. I mean, believe it or not, but we had this in place. I think it was dropped then for the Cocoa work because it was untenable for the Cocoa work at that time, which I understand. But we could go back to this, and we could also update the differences list. I think it is linked from the issue on the laundry list. Um,
yes, I did put it in yesterday, and it's also there. Yeah,
yeah, this one.
separately too. Yeah.
I think this is the most detailed and comprehensive of several such lists that we have or had in our issue tracker. So that would be a second um, thing and we would need like pretty much everybody, everybody in the community to check out that they have the stuff they are interested in is updated, and so that we can uh, figure out who closes which gaps. And maybe like in the worst case, the resolution might be, as Steve says, well, unfortunately, we don't have manpower to do this. And that would pretty much mean that we're staying on the go runtime. Extremely unfortunate in my view, but if that's the case, we need to be aware of it. I think it's more likely that we would be able to figure out like who cares of which of those red crosses here. And then we can execute on that, and I think that's the way to go. Just be more active about it.
I like that plan.
Yep.
I don't want to use the whole call for this topic, but I think it's important that we keep this, because otherwise we will only talk about it during PTGs and then nothing ever moves forward in any direction. Okay. I can follow up on Slack about this list. I don't know if it's fully up to date right now or not in terms of what's
No,
on
it's
the
not
calendar.
very accurate. And
Okay.
there's a question of what like ticks mean. Like we've got a tick by runtime RS supporting remote hypervisor. There was some boilerplate done, but I don't think
Mhm.
anyone's ever been able to actually use it. So I guess we
No,
want,
this is definitely not accurate.
yeah,
And maybe like what I'm saying is let's review this. Maybe in both directions. Maybe like do check the grid ticks as well. And but the idea is let's get a precise as precise an idea we can about the differences and the work required to close the gaps,
Yep.
and work from there.
Yep. I think that sounds good. And yeah, I think it's around quite a bit of it is going to probably be around testing. We can say, oh, we've got some green ticks, but if we've got some tests, and I appreciate we don't necessarily have complete test coverage on the Go runtime either. For example, the shared OS equals none copy file watcher. Alex has, I've reviewed that. Alex has done that. That's been merged now, but we don't have any test cases either direction. So there is an issue I created many years ago about that. So getting some of that stuff in so we can go, oh, it's running as part of our regular pipelines. We got confidence that this stuff is ready to use. And we talked on, I think it's probably on this issue, about the idea of whether we need a runtime REST version of the Cocoa Dev kind of non-TE runtime class that we start doing. I don't know, Viner, if you've got any thoughts, if you think that might be a good approach. Because we don't necessarily have all the TE support, but if we started with the non-TE stuff and get some testing in, then that could give us a good idea of what is or isn't working. And it might be everything's red, but if we've got everything that's red, we can track the gaps or make sure we've got, for each test that fails, we've got something in here which covers bridging that gap. I don't know. Yeah, I think Varney did some work around CI, what's supported and stuff like that. Probably October's PTG, but yeah.
If I could give an AI advice, that would be the advice exactly what you said. Give it a try with the non-TE and start checking the
Yeah.
things
So it's
that are not working.
sort of ticked in here is a runtime RS version of that, but so maybe that's on the action plan is we create that non-TE runtime class and see what happens. We'll probably
Yeah.
most stuff will probably fail, but that's okay.
Better to know what's failing than living in illusions. I can pop this issue into Slack too, for
Mhm.
people not on the call today, just as a reminder that as a first step, we're refreshing this to make sure it's accurate, and so we can see what work is left and what shape things are in.
Cool. Should we move on?
Yeah, I
from this
mean, I don't have more updates on this. It sounds like we have at least a first step identified, and then we can move forward from there in terms of formalizing the plan moving forward a little bit more. I don't think we need to discuss all the items on the laundry list in this detail. But for this one, I got some good ideas how to start to move forward. Thank you all.
Cool, thanks. So I guess I've done, I created this in quotes epic, based off the discussion we had about workflow hardening last week, just so we can update it. I think we've actually done the pin of the GitHub actions already, if I remember correctly. So I think that one was done a couple of months ago. I just wrote a list in my head. I've also updated Dependabot to update the GitHub actions as well, so that can go in. We'll talk about OIDC later, and then yeah, we can follow through some of the others. I think, yeah. But yeah, the next pieces are, like I said, the replacive secrets that I've made dependent on the Docker Hub one, just because we've got some Docker secrets around. So once we get rid of those, we can potentially do that. And yeah, it's a bit of progress on this one. So the next topic that I wanted to discuss, we had an issue where some of the guest components builds were failing. Ding's got a new PR to move ImageRS and the pull image into CDH rather than from the Kata agent directly, which I think is probably quite popular. It makes it a lot easier to write, separate the Cocoa stuff out, start to get interfaces and stuff like that. However, yeah, it wasn't working for Ding, so I spent a long time banging my head against the wall trying to work out what the problem was. And basically, it turned out that there was a new dependency came in which needed a new version of GCC. So I eventually managed to get it solved by bumping the base image that we used to build the guest components to Ubuntu 24.04 from 22.04, which is fine. So I've unblocked Ding, but it did lead me to the question of whether we want to just consume the guest component binaries from the Cocoa project's caches. So what I mean by that is there is a workflow called Publish Artifacts with Aurus, which basically runs on every commit and pushes variants of the attestation agent and CDH and API server REST for different parameters of different platforms, different TEs to GHCR. So in PeerPods, we just consume these directly in the same way we consume the Kata agent directly as a built binary. But in Kata, we are still building our own version of runtime of the guest components. So I wondered if anyone had any thoughts on whether we just consume these rather than building. It'll mean our builds are a bit quicker. It'll mean we don't have to worry because they didn't have any issues on their side with this GCC because they don't build inside a container. So it's something to do with the container that was the issue. And just means less processing and less stuff for Kata to worry about themselves. The downside is that means slightly less control, potentially, but these are components which aren't owned by the Kata community anyway. So yeah, any thoughts on that?
Hey Steve, Fabiano here.
Hey,
The closer we can get the process between what we are doing with Kata containers and what's being done with peer pods, the best. Right now, those two are a little bit, not that much, but at least a little bit discrepant. So I know we're not working on Coco anymore, but like it makes things harder. So and then, in my opinion, if we take a look on what we do with the other components that we have, we are only building the components when we have to. When we have to change the configurations, when we have to adapt them to whatever Kata container needs. This is not the case for the guest components. So in my mind, it doesn't make sense to be building those as part of our input. The main question then is, and this is like for you guys working on Coco, like what is the plan? Is consume nightly? Is consume a fixed version? Uh, if it's go ahead.
my proposal would be we would consume the commit version exactly the same way we do at the moment. We have the guest components hash here. We would still consume that. I think consuming something that they make is great. I still think we want to pin it. I don't think that's something we want to take is bring in their nightly. We don't do it for other repos. Like we don't do it for our crates. We don't bring any of those in. Some of them we don't bring in yearly, which we're trying to fix. But so that would be my proposal is we'd still use this version that we have in versions.yaml. We just would go and pull it directly or pull the binary rather than pulling the source code.
That makes sense. I perfectly agree with that. There is another question then that comes to my mind. That is about compatibility, right? Because how are those built on the confidential container side? Is this built using muscle libc or glibc?
So there is, I think I had it open somewhere. There is different versions. So that's what we would need to do is identify if we've got the right combinations already. So there is for x86, there's Musil for ARM and S390X. There's GNU, and so yeah, there is a crosscut of things. Whether we've got absolutely everything that we need, I'm not 100% sure.
I guess my main question is like, do you understand why I'm asking this question?
Yeah, there is definitely a question around like compatibility versions of like glibc, stuff like that.
Exactly, because if they bump to a newer version of glibc on their side, on where they are doing the builds, there is nothing that will actually guarantee that this thing that was built with the newer version of glibc does not link with even statically linking, right? Because glibc will still do is not like 100% static. So
Yeah.
it may bring symbols that are not present on our guest OS. So that's the only thing that you guys should be worried about that I can see as a risk of things going wrong. And then one thing that I would not like to see is Coco decided to just bump to this random version of Ubuntu that is not like an LTS release, and because of that, Kata Containers has to bump as well. right? That's something that is, from my point of view as a community member, this is unacceptable. Apart from that, it looks like very good to just consume their binaries.
Yeah, I think that's fine. That makes sense. So yeah, maybe the short term is we just need to give it a try. We don't get rid of the code to build it ourselves, but we kind of add some code to try the caching, and then we can flip out if we hit problems or if on particular platforms, if there's not support, we can kind of hedge our bets a bit.
And that's exactly what we are doing with the other components already, just to make it totally clear to everyone. We try to pull the binary. If the binary is not present for a platform, for one specific architecture or something like that, then we end up building this. That's exactly what we should be doing here. So yeah, do not get rid of the code, but just do the step of like try to pull it. If you cannot pull it, then you try to build it yourself. Well, build yourself, like I mean, as part of the CI.
Okay, cool. Thanks, everyone. And yeah, I will take an action to at least raise an issue on our side for that. I would like to drive it forward, but the security stuff is probably high priority. Okay, Odeko had a discussion about different infra donations.
Yeah, I put this here as a heads up and conversation at one point, maybe not today because we are a little bit behind on time. So I've been reaching out to mostly public cloud companies, bigger and smaller, to see if we could get some more resources, hardware infra resources for Kata to run CI jobs. I often get back the question what kind of hardware we want. So it's a question mark from me to you all in terms of what would be like a baseline amount type of resources that the community could use for CI. Is there any specific hardware configuration that I should try to get? I think Fabiano mentioned Intel TDX and AMD. I don't remember the code for that one. SEV, I think. So are these type of resources in need? Is this something I should focus on try to get if we can as part of infra donation? There's one company in the Works on ARM program, it seems like, where we might be able to get some more ARM servers. So that's looking great, but I still need to follow up. Still waiting for a response from them. So trying to get some more stuff and some guidance on what the community could utilize the best would be very helpful.
Yeah, sure. So I guess my perspective on it is we've got a good basis from our Azure credits. Thank you very much to Aurelian, and I know Intel in the past for helping drive that forward. So I think, yeah, obviously we potentially want to have a plan in case that dries up, so we're not just dependent on one provider. But yeah, I think as discussed, the different configurations that we don't have apart from self-hosted runners, so TDX, SMP, there is an interesting, I can try and find the link for it. We had a discussion on the Coco CI meeting yesterday about there's a new kind of project from the OMP to get GitHub runners for S390X and Power. So this might be a good thing for us to do is apply for that, because that's another one we've got self-hosted runners for. If we can apply to have them managed by someone else, it just reduces the overhead of us and helps to spread the load as well. So yeah, I think specific hardwares that we don't have at the moment, or platforms, so Power, S390X, TDX, SMP, I think is the main one. Obviously, having a bit more CI would never be a bad thing. Like I guess RISC-V is arguably part of that, although I'm not sure many infra providers have that. Having some more CI, and then from a cloud provider perspective, having some tests for installation on different cloud providers would be great if we could get clusters, so that we can, yeah, just test things out. I don't know if that helps.
Can you put that link to that post that you
Yes, I will.
and I can fish out what the list that you said from the recording too, but if
Yeah.
anyone
I
has time to throw things
messaged
in here, yeah.
Yeah, I messaged Choi, who looks after our S390X architecture, about this, because I think it runs on top of the Linux One. I think that the Linux Z part of it runs on top of the Linux One community cloud, which is basically where our self-hosted runners are at the moment. So it might be that Choi's got a bit, or couldn't get us a bit of background or extra information, but Choi's on vacation for the moment. So I've sent a message to Troy, ready for when he comes back, to ask if that's something we can do for both the Cocoa and Cast communities.
Mhm. I also know Elizabeth from the OpenStack days
Mhm.
years back. So let me know if I should reach out to her. I can do that too.
Yeah, and I guess because this is a yeah, I don't know if the OMP are managing this or not, but obviously they're a Linux Foundation community. So yeah, maybe there's opportunities to form some good ties then.
Yeah, that would be great. Okay, cool. I will see what I can do. No firm promises yet because I haven't gotten that far into conversations. But I will report back as I hear back from people, and then I will wait for Troy's response. But then if that doesn't move forward, then I can use my communication channels too.
Yep, that sounds great.
Thank you. Okay, in the interest of time, I will jump to the next one. So we are currently in the process of, Open Infra Foundation joining the Linux Foundation to do the mechanics in the background. Part of those mechanics is that the current Zoom accounts will go away sometime in June, by July, I would say. So I would assume that Kata would like to stay on Zoom and run these automatic recordings for the meetings. Is that a correct assumption?
That would be my baseline, yeah.
Yep, same here.
Okay, so we do have the option to get new Zoom accounts from the Linux Foundation. That is not a challenge. And I can work with our team to have that set up, which means that the Zoom link will change. I apologize. It's totally out of my hands. It's just procedural. As we are consolidating some tools and resources and assets. So the question mark is the current AC meeting recordings are stored in the cloud as part of the Zoom account service. So I can go and download them and I think upload them to YouTube. So the question is, how far back do you all want to keep those recordings?
Hey, Eudiko, Fabiano here.
Hey.
How far back those recordings go?
I do not know. I need to check, but
The reason I asking is just for the historical point of view, like having everything that we could have would be amazing. Uh, if that's a little bit too much, and I think that will be a little bit too much, I would suggest, of course, checking with the AC members first, but like something like a quarter or 2 quarters of the year.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I was thinking that you will all say that, I don't know, at least a half a year, like this year or a year back or something along those lines. Please keep in mind that this will be a manual labor on my end. So if I don't know how far they go. I don't know if they go 5, 6, 8, 10 years, 9, or 8 years back. Um, yeah.
So my initial reaction, which is probably not helpful as it doesn't ask the question, is I'm I'm more concerned about the PTG recordings and the AC recordings in terms of, I'll be honest, I don't very often refer back to AC meetings, but the PTG ones I have referred back to because they're a bit longer term and more strategic.
No,
So
yeah, I'm out.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think a quarter or two is probably fine for AC meetings. But yeah, the VPTG is probably the ones that I would prioritize,
Mhm.
even if that means do them instead of the AC meetings, as I appreciate it's a manual task.
No, that should be fine. I really just wanted to have a grasp on like do you strictly want everything that is still available, which again I need to double check the Zoom account. I apologize I didn't get there before this call, or it's more those like 2 quarters or like I don't know, beginning of last year onward. Because I'm almost sure that it goes at least that far back.
Mhm.
I
Okay,
would
I
say like 2 quarters is good, as Steve mentioned. Like the VPTGs would be a nice thing, and
Mhm.
of course, as this is a manual work for you, if you could at least download everything and have this somewhere at open infra just for like historical reasons, that would be nice. But like uploading everything, I think it doesn't make sense uploading like meetings from 6 years ago or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I would assume that those are very outdated by now. So not sure what information we could still get out of it, those that are that relevant. Okay, I'll see what I can do on the archiving side. And then I will focus on having the VPTGs uploaded somewhere and maybe the AC meetings for this year. And I'll I'll see what we can do on the archiving side beyond that.
Cool. Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any last thoughts on that just before we move on? Okay, cool. So yeah, part of the workflow hardening activity we kind of already mentioned a few times is I went back to one of the people that raised the vulnerability disclosure, presented all of the PRs that I've done so far, and asked if basically asked their opinion on that. And they basically said, and whether it would be a good opportunity to rotate the secrets now if we've minimized the surface area of the attack. And they basically came back and said yes. They said it's maybe not as full as it could be, the pull request target, etc. But they said the reduction of permissions and stuff like that, so secrets shouldn't be as easy to access. And I guess particularly the item around getting rid of inherit secrets means that secrets could be rotated or should be rotated. We may also choose to rotate them again in a month or something like that once we've done more. So I took a list of all of the secrets we have on GitHub and then basically wanted to discuss them with people, see if we've got people who can own those. So there's a few which are not secrets in my opinion. So like the authenticated image user, I don't think is a secret. The username of the account we use to upload to Quay, I don't think is a secret. There are some which I have access to, the Quay ones. I've already rotated these two, and it seems to be working okay. As we briefly mentioned earlier, Magnus has rotated the Azure password account, but basically, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm not
Steve, for
sorry.
for the easy ones, only the password is a secret. So the other
Yeah.
ones, yeah, we can move those out of the secret
Okay.
box, I think. And also for the password, I'm gonna switch that password to OIDC. I
Brilliant.
already looked into this a couple months ago. I didn't go forward with it because my understanding is that one issue with this would be that that OIDC mechanism would only be for the main branch, right? So I think that
Okay.
would break the workflow where we test a YAML PR in a separate branch, right? So I think that
Okay.
would break, but
Yeah.
I'll do some more research and see if I
Yeah.
can find a workaround.
Yeah, that'd be
Aurelian,
great.
Hmm.
one question is, if we switch to OIDC,
Yep.
does it mean that we cannot use the easy password anymore?
Yes, that would be the goal. Do you use it?
No, the reason why I'm asking is if we cannot use OIDC from a different branch than main, like can we at least keep the easy password for those specific cases where we manually run the workflows? Because those that are triggered manually by someone from the community.
Yeah,
So the risk is smaller that someone is actually trying to attack us from inside the community.
I agree. Yeah, that would be probably maybe an acceptable middle ground. I'll still try to have YDC work for both, but yeah, if not, maybe we can use AZ password as a fallback for branch tests, feature tests. Yeah.
Yeah, so that might be where we can put that as an environment secret and have an environment on that the CI dev.
Yeah.
Cool. Cool. So, Aurelian, are you able to create a variable for these? Because I don't actually know the
Yep.
details of them, and then we can start flipping them over.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I have all these saved up, except the new password. But yeah, I can do that for sure.
Yeah, awesome.
By,
That's great.
by the way, although those variables are not secrets, they have the internal details of the infra. Maybe we should not expose them.
They're not designed to be secret, right? So they're going to be
Okay.
public anyway.
Okay.
I think they would appear in some API calls and whatnot. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
I can
that's
triple
true.
check the
Yeah.
docs and send that paste the docs in the PRs, but it, yeah, my understanding is that they're not designed to be secret, right? So if we try to hide them, I don't even know if Azure hides them. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, if they come back from a AKS CLI response and stuff like that, then yeah, there's no point us doing extra. I need to catch up with Choi. Fact, it's the HKD path. Seems like it shouldn't be a secret, but I confirm. We've got Coco Quay deployer password and username. We don't seem to use it anywhere. We've got the Docker password and username, which we don't actually know. So we would have to use this exploit to get it if we wanted to update it. But yeah, as I mentioned earlier, I've got the PR to stop us using GitHub in favor of GHCR for mirrors. We have Git upload token. I don't think it's used. The ITA, I'm assuming that Miko will own that. Similarly, we've got K-build sign pin, which I think is Sonko has ownership. As I mentioned, deploy password is already rotated. The username, I've already created a variable for it. We got the Snapcraft token. Yeah. And so
Kill
I don't
it.
know. Sorry, go ahead,
Kill
Fabiano.
it.
So
Kill it. Burn it.
we did have a discussion. Somebody, I don't know if people have seen, raised a question. We apparently have we've still got our really old version on Snap. At VPTG and Sasios, I think you mentioned being interested in resurrecting Snapcraft from micro Kubernetes or something.
Yeah.
Is
It
this
was me in the sense that Snap might be easier to be integrated into micro Kubernetes or stuff like that, but we haven't done anything for that yet. So
okay? I guess we can get rid of it because I don't think any of us knows what it is, so we can always re-add it if we need to.
Yeah, I would say like drop it. Micro Kubernetes is supported by Kata deploy. Like that's
Yeah.
not the best, but like good enough.
yeah, it was suggested by Zvonko as well that Kata deploy would be better in this aspect.
Cool. And then we've got a couple of old GitHub actions. I can't see them being used anywhere. So I think Aurelian's gonna add these as bars,
Yep.
which is great. Yeah,
And I'm also
if you do them soon, then I'll update my PR to reflect that as well, and that'll be make it simpler. Quite a bit of work for me to redo it, but it will be a better PR, cleaner PR. Anyone got concerns if I just delete all of the ones that we've marked as unused?
let's go ahead.
Okay.
There's also some secrets in the Azure subscription that have been expired for a while, so I think I'm gonna just remove those. I'll double check with Magnus, but
yeah,
I think that's what I did.
Cool. Great. Thanks, and I'll catch up with Sonko and Troy and Miko another time. Last couple of minutes, Viner, do you want to go ahead?
Yes, very quickly. This is the non-T job used to be required. Then we made it non-required because of a problem on the KBS installation. We fixed it. It was weeks ago. So we fixed it. We applied other fixes to make it more stable. And the result is that now I think it's ready to be required again. It failed one time on the last 10 executions, and that fail is not recurrent, so
That was
probably
just
something related to the infra or yeah.
Yeah, that was just a timeout.
Mm-hmm.
The deployment. So
Yeah, if you guys agree, I'd like to have it required again.
Yeah, man, make it required.
I think
Sounds
it's
good to
fine.
me.
Yeah. So, do you want to create the PR to add it to required tests.yaml Viner, and then
Yes,
we
I
get that
can
merged,
make
we
it.
can update that. Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Right. And just back on time. So yeah, thanks folks for the good discussions. And yeah, we'll try and drive a few of these bigger items forward and revisit them next week.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Steve. Appreciate it.
Thank
Take
you.
care. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
See you soon.
Bye-bye.